Hello, welcome to the Brain Scrub, an improvised approach to mental health. My name is Glenn Sollers. Thanks for tuning in to this episode, which is about how to make life fun. Fun is a choice, and yes, there are certain circumstances we might be going through that are not fun, and I do get it, and it's important to acknowledge that. We can't always have fun. However, there are people out there that I know that are always negative. The world is against them. Nothing's good enough. That's not fun. And this week I was reminded of the power of choice in the moment, about how do I choose to live. Bit of backstory here. A few years ago, pre-COVID, my wife and I went on a cruise in French Polynesia. It was a 14-day cruise. We had a fantastic time, mainly because we were with great people. And 4 of those people were people we have never met before. 2 were from Colorado in the United States. The other 2 were from England. And for whatever reason, we hit it off. They were so much fun because generally when we're on vacation, we're in a different mode. It's like a different identity. That I have my work identity, I have my home identity, I have my father identity. And then when we can let go of all that, we are in vacation identity. Having fun, maybe a few too many drinks, letting loose, sharing what we want to share. Life is far removed from us, and we are there in the open, and we're just having a good time. And that's what we had with these folks. They were up late at night, but it was so much fun hanging out with them. And we got their contact information, and we vowed we'd keep in touch with them, and we certainly have kept in touch with them. Now, when people are not on vacation, they sometimes can be a lot different. Many years ago, I was on a vacation with my ex-wife, and she and I met a couple who we really hit it off with. They were really nice people, and we had a lot of fun with them as well, and they lived in the same province we lived in. And when we got back, about 2 months later, we decided to go over to their house and meet them, not knowing a lot about their personal lives. We drove to their house, and please do not take offense to what I'm about to say, but you know how sometimes you have this preconceived notion of where people live, what their life will be like. You paint a picture of who that individual is. We arrived and they lived in a trailer, which is fine. That's fine that they lived in a trailer. They had a pet snake. Their place was a disaster zone. It was so out of our comfort zone because my ex and I, to this day, I am a very neat and organized person. These folks clearly had a different life than ours. And not that it was bad or good. It's just different. We didn't hit it off. We never saw them again. Now, I'm giving you that story because in this situation, things were a lot different. One of the couples from Colorado, who are about 10 years older than my wife and I. Actually, the wife is only, I think, about 5 years older, and it doesn't really matter. Anyway, they were going to go on a cruise about 2 years ago to Alaska, and they said, you know what, Glenn, we're going to come and visit you. And I said, yeah, that would be great. Come by. And this was only like about 6 months after the trip. Well, thanks to COVID, their trip was canceled 1 year. It was canceled the next year because no cruises were going up to Alaska. And this year, it went through. I picked them up from our town close by. They took a seaplane over and we embraced. We hugged. It was like long lost friends, even though I've only known them for about maybe 10 days in total previously, and through the odd message going back and forth. They came over. We instantly struck it off. There was no influence of alcohol whatsoever, because that sometimes is the fun enabler. None of that. And I have to say, we had the best time. I don't think I've laughed so hard for 4 days straight in my life. We had things that we went through. Like we played pickleball and one of us twisted the ankle. We ended up having to get a wheelchair and pushing the wheelchair around. And it was all these different things that we experienced. But in it all, we made the best out of every situation. It was enjoyable. In fact, when they left, I had a bit of withdrawal going on. I really loved them and enjoyed them so much, and now they're leaving. And not saying my life is not fun, but it was fun to the power of 2 when they were around. I went to see them yesterday because they're about to go on their cruise, and I was in Vancouver anyway, and I hooked up with them because they were staying at a hotel. The fun continued. We were adventurous. I tried things I've never tried before. Like there was this hot dog vendor. It was called Chung Chen, I think. And they have deep fried hot dogs with different topics on it. We saw it. I would have never thought about eating one of these things, and we did. It was one of the best things I've ever eaten. It was so great. The point I'm trying to make here is that those 2 choose to have an amazing life. They choose to have fun. We never know when the last day of our life is going to be. It could be any time. And while we're here on this planet, I can either choose to have a great life, have a lot of fun, make it enjoyable, or not. Regardless of our upbringing, our traumas we went through, there are support groups out there. There's this podcast. There's different things we can do to not look at life the same way. Because sometimes I'll look at life really negative and I'll focus in on what's not working. And that just drags me down a hill and I get worse and worse and worse. Like, mind you, though, I grew up in an environment, as you know, that was not a good one. All the time. Like there's times where I had fun, but I had to make my own fun. I couldn't rely on my bookworm brother to have fun with me all the time. He wanted to read his Hardy Boys books, where I was out in the sandbox with my Tonka truck, my Hot Wheels car, having fun on my own. And to make matters worse, we grew up on a kind of a hobby farm. We had some cows, we had some chickens, we had I think we had sheep once. Anyway, our house was right beside a field, and it was a farmer's field. And what they would do the odd time was they would spread manure all over the place. And my mom hung laundry outside. Sometimes the breeze went in the wrong direction. Our clothes at times smelled like manure. My dad was also a chain smoker. So our clothes smelled like manure and smoke. Next, I was a chubby little kid. I didn't feel good about myself. I was also very emotional. I cried a lot. I also had sandwiches that I brought to school, which was different than everybody else's sandwiches. Like people would bring sandwiches with peanut butter and jelly. My parents were against peanut butter. You're not allowed to have peanut butter in the house. It's not healthy. Instead, what you must eat is rye bread with pig fat. That's what we had, folks. Like in our pantry, we would have jars of pig fat that we put on typical German rye bread with some salt. Mind you, it tasted good. And then we'd put another piece of bread on top. So rye bread, pig fat, salt, rye bread, put into a sandwich container. That's my lunch. how lucky am I? I was a manure smelling, smoke smelling, chubby little kid eating pig fat bread. Lunchtime was not fun. Even getting on the school bus wasn't fun. I can't imagine now what people were thinking when I walked on the bus. Here comes Glenn. Ugh, he stinks. Smell him. Gosh. Yeah, life then, I didn't have a lot of choice in the matter of things. I couldn't say, you know what, don't put manure on the field. Mom, don't hang the clothes outside. Our neighbor just spread manure out there. Dad, stop smoking. But now, you know what, I have a choice. I didn't learn how to have fun. In fact, it was so hard for me to have fun with other people that I became a person that instills fun in other people. And I talked a lot about the importance of people pleasing, and no, not the importance of people pleasing, how it can be so overwhelming and how I made it up to me to have fun. But the thing is, in situations, I now have a choice in terms of what I can do. I have a choice in terms of what I can do out there. And it's a difficult time in the world, in my perspective right now. There's a lot of necessary movements going on, which again are absolutely necessary. We had to shift the way things were going because they were going in the wrong direction. However, what's happening now is that it's very difficult sometimes because a lot of communication, interaction is based on interpretation, how you interpret my way of being, how you interpret my communication. We've had to be very careful. And again, thankfully we're going in that direction. However, sometimes it can be very difficult to know what to do or not, what not to do. And there is a power of apology as well. So if I do offend somebody based on what I say or do, people are understanding and we can apologize to one another for the words because our words and actions do have an impact. But it can feel like walking on eggshells sometimes in the world. Anxiety rates are going up. News broadcasts about war are happening. COVID-19, now we have monkeypox. Like, it's a very serious time. And then throw into the mix of that family issues, kids that maybe are going into school now and they have the freedom to choose their own life and keeping those connections going, people feeling more self-empowered than ever before. It's not easy. And it's so easy to fall into taking life way too seriously, which leads to all these things that we're trying to get over. Yet we're living in an environment that's very serious. I have my phone on. I need to respond quickly to things. I need to check Facebook. Do they like my Facebook photo? Oh, look at the latest TikTok video. Hey, look at this YouTube video. We're inundated with all this stuff. And a lot of it is not serious stuff that we're watching. But in my opinion, I become a lot more serious over time. This last visit from this amazing couple is an incredible reminder to sometimes just let go. It doesn't always matter what people think. It's okay to be a bit goofy on the street and have fun. Yeah, people might talk about you or they may say something to you, but that's okay. That's their life. And a lot of what people do, their reactions is just a projection of their own feelings about themselves. I know when I was younger, I used to go camping with a bunch of friends, and we were the most obnoxious people on the campsite. We were partying, we were singing, we were being super annoying, but for us, it was a good time. I had a blast. Now, mind you, I'm sure the people that were camping around us couldn't stand us. And now when I go camping and there are those disruptive Glens out there that I experience, I don't like it at all. And then I can start focusing in on that noise. I can't believe they're doing that. I can't believe they're doing this. I can't believe they're doing this. And I get stuck in this spiral of how dare they do this? And then I start focusing more and more and more on it. And then I become miserable. And then my character shifts. It's a human tendency. But I can stop. I can say, yeah, they're being annoying. They're doing something that's bothering me right now. Move on. Move on. Not always an easy thing to do, because we're all guided by our values, our beliefs, our social norms, what we think is right and wrong, and we like to win. I love winning. I don't want to be wrong. So when people to me are being annoying, I like to talk about it, about how annoying they're being. But that person doesn't think they're being annoying. Likely they're just doing what they're doing. Have fun. There's so much seriousness going on in the world. We only have, again, so many minutes to live. We never know when it's going to be the end. It doesn't matter really how people remember us. I know this sounds terrible, but like when you're dead, you're dead. And however, what's more important is how will you remember you? Or how will you be? I spent a lot of my life focused on trying to make other people happy. And that takes a lot of energy, but really it's just me. How can I be responsible for my reactions and how I am being in any given situation so that I am the envy of me? I'll let that ring in for a moment because I just have to let it ring in as well. I am the envy of me, where I find sometimes I'm envious of other people. That gets me nowhere. If I'm in a difficult situation, let it go. Let it be. People would rather be with those that are able to be happy in their own body, regardless of what they do or say to you. And in fact, if you can be happy in your own skin and happy in your own body and happy in your own mind, it's kind of like people can throw stuff at you and it's not going to stick because you're having a party in yourself. And they're doing whatever they're doing. And that's okay. That's just who they are. But to not let it stick to you. Folks, life can be tough. And life is difficult sometimes. Make a choice. Focus on what I can do, not what you are making me feel like. I'm not saying to go out there and not be responsible for your actions with other people. But there are people out there that are negative, disruptive, upset at the world. Don't let it consume you. You're not them. You're not responsible for them. They need to figure it out. All you can do is be comfortable with you, be happy with you, and life becomes a lot easier and much more fun. And I will do my best to continue the seed that was planted with me, with this couple. So I continue to have fun. I continue to live my vision of being fun, goofy, and leading with my heart, because that's where it's at for me. Thanks for listening.